Hello friends, it's Karla back today for Creative Scrapbooker magazine, and we're going to make a Halloween layout featuring the Echo Park Monster Mash collection. I have the 6x6 paper pad here, and you can see it's full of beautiful Halloween papers, cut aparts. We've got some journaling cards in there. I really love the bright colors that are in this paper. We also have the stamp set, which we'll be using on our layout today, but this would be so cute to use for cards as well. We have a bottle of the Robin's Nest Dewdrops in some colors that I felt like were going to coordinate with this paper. We have the Royal Flush Solar Paste by Ranger and Simon Hurley Create. And we have some wonderful adhesive dots from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L, as well as their Easy Runner Grand. We've got the permanent glue there. Here's the stencil that's with that Monster Mash collection. And I've also grabbed my big roll of foam tape. Here's a look at the 12 by 12 solid colored papers that coordinate with that patterned paper. You can also get a 12 by 12 collection pack as well. I also have the October sketch from the Creative Scrapbooker Sketchy Challenge, and you can find that on Facebook in the Sketch Challenge group. I found some photos from last Halloween that I felt like would fit well with the sketch, and I'm cutting up some of those cut apart 2 by 2 squares that are in the 6x6 paper pad. I'm going to use a black background, so I cut off the branding strip, and now I'm just finding some paper to go behind these photos. Even though it would be easy to use a 12 by 12 strip, I think this is a good way to use your 6x6 paper pads. And especially with a busy pattern, you're not going to notice that there's a little bit of a seam. So there's 2 of each design in this paper pack. And I just grabbed both of the matching pieces. And I'm using the permanent tape runner just to adhere those. I also grabbed my OLFA scissors. And as you'll see, we'll grab a few more things than we showed at the beginning, and I'll make sure to point those out to you. The OLFA scissors are little stitching scissors, but they work really great for fussy cutting. They're nice and sharp and small. I layered those photos onto a strip of purple paper to mat them, and now we're going to use the solar paste. This is a shimmery paste that really shows up on dark colored cardstock. So I'm just putting some onto a foam pad. I added just a tiny bit of water just to help that move around. And I'm using the Echo Park stencil on the background. Now you're going to see it better once it dries, and when you shine it or turn it into the light, you'll really see that beautiful purple shine. You can also use this on white cardstock as well. You're not going to get that purple color until you turn it into the light, but I think on white colored cardstock, it really shows up when you use it over an ink color or if you mix it with a re-inker. But you can use it just as is on a black colored cardstock. And there's lots of YouTube videos as well of how to use this and how it works. And it's just a really beautiful paste. You can see that shimmering in the light, and you can get that stenciling detail. Now I'm going to cut a strip so that I can add that as a border, just kind of following along with that sketch. And I used the back of that pattern paper, and again just cut 2 strips and pieced it in the center. I'm going to cut a piece to mat the little 2 by 2 squares, and I'm using a little bit of Ranger Archival ink to go around the outside of those cut aparts, and then glue them down with the Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L tape runner. Now I've cut some elements with my Cricut, the Halloween title there as a long title, and I just used the solid paper that came in that 12 by 12 paper pack. Now I'm going to get out some of the stamps and I'm going to create some embellishments for my page. This is a great way to use your stamps and create little customized die cuts. I'm using more of the Ranger Archival ink. This is a permanent ink, and you will see that it will stay on your stamps, but it certainly won't hurt them. You can wipe it off and you can use the Archival ink cleaner to take off any residue, and it won't transfer, but it probably will stain your stamps, which is totally fine. That just means you're using them and loving them. I'm using a foam applicator just to go around the edges of my elements. I die cut that banner with a die, and you can also just use your ink pads directly on your papers. There's so many fun stamps in this stamp set and lots of little elements as well. I'm going to add this spider web onto the back of my paper, and I haven't glued anything down yet because I just want to really figure out where I'm placing things. And I'm going to use a clear embossing powder. I could have used a white powder, but I felt like the contrast would be a little too striking. So I wanted a clear embossing powder so that when you turned it in the light, you still could see that spider web. But it wasn't going to be bright white against the black background. I think on a different card maybe, then I totally would use white, and there's lots of ways that you could use it, even with like a sparkle embossing powder would look really nice. But I like the way this just added to that stenciling, but was just kind of in the background. So I'm just placing my elements back on to determine where I want them and if I want to add anything else onto my background before I glue it down. And once I know what I'm going to add, then I can start adhering everything onto the back. I grabbed the OLFA grid ruler, which is a quilting ruler, and I love it for scrapbooking. It really just helps me to get things straight and uses a quick reference for measuring. I'm going to bring in some of that large roll of black foam tape and use that. I really love that the backing comes off so easily, and I'm going to pop up some elements and glue other things flat down. I cut the speech bubbles out with my Cricut and I stamped on these fun little sayings. I thought that would be a fun little embellishment to add to the page, cut out in different colors. I also have the Zebra MP301 pencil and the Z Grip pen. The pencil is a mechanical pencil. It's really nice and thin, and you could see me just adding the lines with the ruler. And the pen is a lovely black writing pen. It's so smooth and it doesn't smudge, so it's really great for journaling. I'm also going to add a few details on with the star stamp. I love when there's stars or hearts in a stamp set. I feel like that's an easy way to add fun little embellishments. And now I'm going to add a few more little areas with stamped images, and I'm just individually stamping them. I'm using the Altenew Stampwheel here, and you can see how fun those cute little images are. I thought they were really great just as like a line art element. They almost have a vintage look to them, so I felt like just stamping them in a color and not even coloring them in was a really cute way to use them. I'm fussy cutting with those OLFA scissors. Those are really great for fussy cutting. And if you're moving your paper and holding your scissors still, that's an easy way to get a smooth cut. I'm also bringing in the thin foam squares. They're about half the width of the regular foam tape, and that's another way to get a little bit of dimension that's not quite as high as the regular foam tape. And so especially if you're layering certain things, you can get certain things at different levels. I had a little bit of the gold solar paste just in a little tin that I had borrowed from someone. So I'm actually stamping my stamp, my little star stamp, directly into the solar paste and then onto this background. And because the star is solid, you can really see the outline of that gold against the black cardstock. The gold is really beautiful. I'm using the Zebra Decoshine pen. This is the green, and all the Decoshine pens work so nicely on dark cardstock. They also write really well on light as well, but you can see on dark they have a shimmer and they show up beautifully. So I just accented the title. Now I'm going to put on some of those Robin's Nest dewdrops, and I'm adding them on with the Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L small adhesive dots. So these dots are about 1/8 of an inch, and they work really well to adhere the Robin's Nest dewdrops. I usually place my dewdrops around where I want them, and then I will go ahead and adhere them once I decide. And I also usually do clusters of some 2s and some 3s. Here you can see how easy it is just to pop those on. And here's a look at the completed layout. I love these different colors and pattern papers and the fun shimmer with the solar paste as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great day.